Stop. Before you even think about clicking away to some mindless entertainment, look at yourself. You think you're civilized? You think your modern world is the peak of human achievement? You are living a lie. You're soft, pampered, and frankly ignorant. You wouldn't last a single night in the world I'm about to show you. This isn't a bedtime story for the weak-hearted. This is a journey into a land of blood feuds, poetic sorcery, and a level of raw, unfiltered human ego that would make your modern problems look like a joke. We often hear the term Jahiliyyah, the age of ignorance, but don't let the word fool you. This wasn't a world of stupid people. It was a world of intense, burning passion without a compass. To understand the rise of one of the most influential civilizations in human history, we have to look at the vacuum that preceded it. We have to look at the Arabian Peninsula as it was in the 6th century, a massive, scorching landmass sandwiched between two gasping superpowers, the Byzantine Romans to the west and the Sassanid Persians to the east. While those empires were rotting from the inside out, the heart of the desert was beating with a different kind of rhythm. This was a land of Muru'a, a tribal code of manliness and chivalry that was both a blessing and a death sentence. There was no central government, there were no police, there was only your tribe. If someone from tribe A killed someone from tribe B, the law was simple: an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and a life for a life. But here's the catch. These blood feuds didn't end with one death. They could last for 40 years. They could wipe out entire lineages over a perceived insult at a well. Let's talk about the geography of this chaos. You have the Hijaz, the rugged mountainous region along the Red Sea. You have the Najd, the vast central plateau. And you have the Rub al-Khali, the empty quarter, a place so desolate that even the most hardened nomads feared it. Life here was dictated by water. A hidden spring wasn't just a resource, it was a god. The Bedouin, the nomadic heart of Arabia, moved with the seasons, following the thin promise of rain. They were the masters of the desert, possessing a knowledge of the stars and the sand that we have long since lost. But Arabia wasn't just nomads. There were thriving urban centers, and none was more important than Mecca. Nestled in a barren valley, Mecca was the Wall Street of the ancient desert. It was controlled by the Quraysh, a powerful merchant tribe that had turned a religious pilgrimage into a massive economic engine. At the center of the city stood the Kaaba. Today, it is the focal point of monotheistic prayer, but back then, it was a pantheon. 360 idols resided there, one for every day of the year. Hubal, the god of the moon, Alat, Al-Uzza, and Manat, the three goddesses. Pilgrims from every corner of the peninsula would flock to Mecca, and for 4 months of the year, all war was forbidden. This sacred truce was the only thing that kept the peninsula from descending into total extinction. Here's a fact most people miss. Pre-Islamic Arabia was a superpower of literature. They didn't build pyramids or great cathedrals, they built poems. To the pre-Islamic Arab, a great poet was more dangerous than 100 swordsmen. A poem could start a war, and a poem could end one. Every year at the Ukaz market, poets would compete in what was essentially the world's first high-stakes rap battle. The winners would have their poems, the mu'alakat, or the suspended odes, written in gold and hung on the walls of the Kaaba itself. These poems were visceral. They spoke of lost loves, the speed of their horses, and the absolute brutality of the desert. One of the most legendary figures of this era was Antarah ibn Shaddad. Born to an Arab father and an enslaved Ethiopian mother, Antarah was initially rejected by his tribe. But in the chaos of tribal warfare, his prowess as a warrior and his soul-stirring poetry made him a legend. He won his freedom through blood and ink, proving that even in a society obsessed with lineage, raw talent and bravery could shatter chains. His life serves as a bridge between the old ways and the changing tides of history. But let's look at the darker side, the ignorance that the historians speak of. While the Arabs were noble in their hospitality, they were also gripped by superstitions and practices that are chilling to look back on. Female infanticide was a reality in some tribes, born from a desperate fear of poverty or the potential shame of a daughter being captured in a raid. Slavery was rampant, and the gap between the merchant elite in Mecca and the starving poor was widening by the day. The Muru'a code, while brave, had become a cycle of endless, meaningless violence.
Religion in this era was a strange cocktail. While polytheism was the norm, there were the Hanifs, solitary seekers who rejected idols and searched for the original monotheism of Abraham. There were Jewish tribes in the oasis of Yathrib, later Medina, and Christian communities in the south, in Najran. The peninsula was a pressure cooker of ideas, faiths, and social tensions. Everyone knew that the old system, the tribal anarchy, couldn't hold forever. The Byzantine and Persian empires were constantly trying to pull Arab tribes into their orbits as puppet states, like the Ghassanids and the Lakhmids. Did you know that the pre-Islamic Arabs were master genealogists? A man could recite his lineage back 20 generations without breaking a sweat. They believed that your blood defined your destiny. Yet they were also remarkably cosmopolitan. Meccan caravans traveled to Syria in the summer and Yemen in the winter, bringing back spices, silks, and stories from across the known world. This was not an isolated desert. It was a crossroads. The achievements of this era are often overshadowed by what came after, but we must respect their resilience. They developed a language of such complexity and beauty that it remains one of the world's most sophisticated linguistic tools. They survived in an environment that should have killed them, developing a culture of hospitality where a stranger could expect 3 days of protection and food, no questions asked, even if they were an enemy. This was a world of extremes, extreme heat, extreme loyalty, and extreme violence. As we look at the maps of the 6th century, we see a world on the brink. The old gods were losing their grip. The merchant lords were getting greedier. The poets were singing of a deep, existential weariness. The stage was set. The desert was holding its breath. What happened next changed the world, but it couldn't have happened anywhere else. The fire of the Islamic civilization was forged in the furnace of this pre-Islamic chaos. If you've made it this far, maybe I was wrong about you. Maybe you do have the stomach for the truth of history. But don't stop here. This was just the prologue to the most explosive transformation in human chronicles. If you want to understand how this chaotic desert birthed an empire that stretched from Spain to India, you need to stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button, like this video to keep the algorithm from burying the truth, and check out our playlist on the great empires. The story is only getting started, and trust me, you haven't seen anything yet. Explore the past or be condemned to repeat it. See you in the next one.